Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to Our Issues Birmingham. We've got a little bit of a new backdrop for you today. We thought we'd change things up as spring is approaching, and our guest today for our new backdrop is the Mayor of the City of Birmingham, Randall Woodfin. Hello, Randall. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Tommy, good to see you. Always happy to be with you and your audience.
Yeah, we do this fairly regularly, so it's hard to keep track of what's going on from the last time we talked to this time we talked. But I know today's a very busy day for you, and we're taping on a February 16th, I believe today is. So you have some activities going on in the city. I think Representative Terry Sewell is with us, along with the Secretary of Interior. What brings them to town?
Well, we're honored to have the Secretary of Interior, Secretary Halen, come to the city of Birmingham along with Congresswoman Terry Sewell. You know, I gotta acknowledge my predecessor, William Bell, along with Congresswoman Terry Sewell, were very intentional and successful about getting the proper designation for the civil rights district, particularly around the A.G. Gaston Motel. And so for those who don't know, the A.G. Gaston Motel has been under a refurb that has been co-led by the city of Birmingham along with the Secretary of Interior or the Department of Interior for the United States of America, related to making sure this is a designated safe space, but also a historical references and preference of this site is acknowledged and protected. And so the Secretary, this will be her first tour of this site and probably her first tour in Birmingham related to seeing the updates here. We look to go live with this site this summer.
When you say this site, you're talking about the hotel itself?
The A.G. Gaston Motel, that is correct. So consider the A.G. Gaston Motel was the motel used for Black citizens and visiting Birmingham and those in the area who could not go to a white motel or hotel.
Yes.
In addition to that, during the civil rights movement, it turned out that it was a pivotal meeting place. It had a war room. Fred Shuttlesworth, along with his invited guests, Reverend Ralph Abernathy, as well as Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. They all met here. When the press wanted to talk to them about the movement, the press came to meet them here, and this is where they held their press conferences. This is where they had their strategy meetings on how to execute on all the movement and action that they took to fight for civil rights.
I remember it well. This is before your time, young man, but right around the corner was WENN Radio.
Wayne Radio.
And I was a big fan back then of AM radio and particularly WENN, and became close with the disc jockey there who referred to himself as Tall Paul. And we later met when I became a lawyer and just had a great relationship for a number of years. I think that's a great area of town that's being developed for the purposes you mentioned. Ties right in with the Civil Rights Institute, 16th Street Church. It's a great spot for people, especially for people coming to town for the World Games. Speaking of the World Games, I'm troubled of what I see when I try to go from the courthouse to my office because I have to go through Bessemer practically to get there. Please tell me that's going to be ready to go. The 20th Street is not going to be like it is now. And is the bridge going to be open, or are we at the behest of AlDOT?
So there is ample construction and reconstruction going on in the city of Birmingham right now. A lot of that deals with our right-of-ways and our streets. You're speaking to 20th Street. 20th Street is a joint project that's being led by Rev Birmingham. It goes pretty much from First Avenue South, Morris Avenue, crosses over to First Avenue and ends at Land Park. And it's instead of trying to like spread this out, what they've done is try to speed this up in preparation for the World Games. And it's basically to make 20th Street more pedestrian friendly. Um, it has been used to just get people from point A to B, but I think they're wanting to make it more pedestrian friendly, more walkable and bikeable. And so there was a snippet of it that you could see originally in the block where Paramount is and Trattoria is. And I think they're looking to expand that all the way from First Avenue South to Lynn Park. So I think I'm confident it'll be done before the World Games. I think it'll be a cool amenity for our downtown to get people more out of their vehicles to walking to point from A to B. In addition to that, you mentioned the Richard Arrington Bridge, which is a one-way bridge from the south side into our downtown area. I do not foresee that being open prior to the World Games coming to Birmingham. There are many more interest exit points people can connect with the north and south side of town, which include the 24th Street Bridge as well as 19th and 18th Street.
Well, that's certainly good to know. It will be a bit of an impediment. I do have Nick Sellers coming on to tape today, and we'll run his show sometime before the games just to get an update on if we're ready, if we're going to be ready. I think it's sort of like trying a lawsuit. You know, you can get ready as you can be, but ultimately the day comes and it's showtime and you have to perform. So I think we'll be ready, don't you?
We will be ready. You know, our performance includes public safety, securing our venues, operations, logistics, and communications. There are many more things, but ultimately the city of Birmingham and with all our partners, we are responsible for keeping our athletes and spectators and dignitaries and our citizens here and everyone else that wants to participate and enjoy the World Games safe. That's our number one priority, and we'll be well prepared for that.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Don't go away. We're talking with Randall Woodfin, the mayor of the city of Birmingham. Stay with us. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. Mayor Randall Woodfin sharing with us some goings on around the city, specifically related to the World Games and what's going on in the downtown area. I want to get beyond that in terms of revitalization, which is a big platform that you've always campaigned on and won the first term championing the cause of that. And it's still ongoing. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on in other parts of the city and the other neighborhoods?
Well, just to pick up on your word choice, ongoing. The city of Birmingham is made up of 23 communities, 99 neighborhoods. And there are many, many miles across our city. I think it's important that with our tax dollars we make from all the growth downtown, that we allocate in an equitable way to make sure our citizens' streets are paved, their sidewalks are walkable, and that we keep upgrading our neighborhood parks, our neighborhood recreation centers, and our neighborhood libraries. These are the things we have to keep making investments in. On the housing front, we spent the first term talking over and over about blight removal. That's not what we want to do this term. We actually want to talk about going vertical with more single family homes that are affordable and market rate. In addition to that, partnering with those developers, private developers who do this for a living, as well as infill housing, making sure our land bank is robust and it's an efficient process for those who want to build homes from our land bank properties. And so looking at this from a holistic standpoint, whether it's housing or our infrastructure, paving our streets and our sidewalks, or some of our facilities that include recreational centers and libraries, as well as parks, we want the quality of life to be whole for all of our citizens, which include well outside of downtown.
Speaking of those programs, I know Build Up Birmingham is very active in putting in place internship programs for kids in high school. Am I correct about that?
You're very correct.
And that's going along and it's working, I believe. At least
It
that's what I
is.
hear.
Mark's had a great formula for quite some time, him and his team, about would build up Birmingham. And I'm calling it Birmingham, but they're doing impact work, where it's not just about the quality of life for the citizens where they live, but they're empowering young people to give them opportunities. So I'm very proud of that as well.
Um, and how's the Birmingham Promise going? How are we doing with that project you
Birmingham
established?
Promise as well. We are in the actual spring semester, and so college doesn't start until fall of 22. In the meantime, we want to encourage our seniors to continue to complete their FAFSA. The first deadline is March 1st, but you can still apply for your FAFSA after that. But we know that at least at this point, well before graduation in May, we've reached the 200 student mark of students actually applying for the Birmingham Promise. So we know there's high interest in students wanting to attend state schools. They can attend tuition free through the Promise program. But we're also excited about the apprenticeship program, leveling up on making sure our young people have opportunity to be able to work and be paid a livable wage of $15 an hour. So I mean, we're very excited about that program increasing as well. We actually just received a grant from Bloomberg Philanthropies of $1.7 million to supercharge the apprenticeship side of opportunities for young people.
And would that be in conjunction with not just Birmingham Build Up, but also the Greater Birmingham Home Builders Association?
Yeah, so we're excited about our partnership with the Home Builders Association. They've been doing major work throughout our community, and the partnership they have with us looks to give those same young people more opportunities around, whether it's on the architecture side or the construction side, and so many sides dealing with housing and development in our community. This gives our young people super exposure, and I'm excited and grateful to the Home Builders Association.
You know, I think I would be remiss if I didn't mention that underlying all of these programs and things we're trying to put in place as a community is violence and crimes of violence, and trying to undercut conflict resolution as it currently exists and shift gears to a different way to go about doing that, and maybe take guns out of people's hands and replace them with hammers and screwdrivers and saws. Of course, people ask me all the time about the violent crime rate in the city of Birmingham. We've recently had a big change at the top, and I know we don't have time to explore it completely, but I do want to talk about it a little bit. We had a rough start to the new year. I think things have calmed down, at least for now. And I saw where Danny Carr had introduced a domestic violence program, because most of these crimes of violence are happening within the family units. I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them are things that you just can't police. So when we come back from break, I might want to go into that with more detail.
Absolutely.
But do you believe that those things you have put in place, and that the placement of a new police chief is going to change the dynamics of what we've been dealing with? Just hold that thought, and we'll answer it when we come back from break. So don't go away. But that's your question to ponder. We'll be right
Yes, sir.
back. This is Our Issues Birmingham. Don't go away. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. We're talking with Mayor Woodfin about a variety of things in the city of Birmingham that are going on, both in revitalization and in trying to just get people to, conflict resolution was the last thing I talked about. It's not a secret. We had a police chief in town. You made a change. We now have a new police chief. What led up to you making that decision to shift gears, get somebody else in there? You brought some youth to the table, I'll say that. Youth is good. You don't need people like me in there, that's for sure. Tell us a little bit about the changes you've made at the police level.
We're excited about Scott Thurman serving as the chief of police for the city of Birmingham. Chief Thurman is a 20-plus-year veteran with the city of Birmingham, Birmingham Police Department. He knows the ins and outs of the department. What I like the most is that he has the wherewithal, the sense of urgency, but that's balanced with good character as well as the people side of this business, not just internally with this police, but community as well. And so my favorite thing about him is the reaction I receive from neighborhood officers who just like his overall approach to public safety and addressing crime. I don't think he looks at it only from a enforcement standpoint. A lot of what we have to do is work on prevention. And so he has a primary focus on rebuilding our police department. BPD is no different than any mid-size or large size city in the nation currently, which is the great migration. The great resignation. That's what I meant to say. The great resignation has caused a tremendous amount of frontline people in the form of police, firefighters, nurses, teachers, all to leave being on the front line. And so how do you not only rebuild your police force, but how do you maintain the people you got? Scott Thurman is the right man, right person for the job we're in right now.
I know that he was brought from within. There had been rumblings that there was a lot of low morale in the police department. I'm hopeful that you're hearing that there's been a shift in that since he's been appointed.
Well, listen, I just think it's been hard for any frontline people over the last few years. Again, this is not isolated to police. Name those areas I just stated: firefighters, teachers, nurses. I think it's hard to be on the front lines right now. But I think Scott Thurman brings a sense of energy to the department. I think he injects hope and direction and a determination to really work for and on behalf of the community.
I do believe that visible police presence, call me old-fashioned, but I think that's important.
It is, but consider this. As just mentioned, the Great Resignation was real. I think when you have retirements not matching the number of new officers coming in, then you get to a situation where what you want is what we all desire, but with less officers, the call volume hasn't stopped. So officers' abilities to be able to sit on your porch and just to build trust versus the priority of responding to the call, you see how that can be in conflict with each other.
Yeah. So in the big scheme of things, for the future of the city of Birmingham, what can you share with our viewers about overall prospects of the city in terms of job growth and just good things in general?
To be clear, everyone should be hopeful and feel positive about the direction of the city of Birmingham. We are in a great space. I think this last year has just proven, even just from the sports and entertainment world, people and organizations want to be here. There's been tremendous growth in that lane. But I think when you consider where healthcare is going around personalized medicine, genomics, as well as biotech, Southern Research and UAB is going to set a new course for the direction of healthcare in the entire nation and world. And that won't only be saving lives, but it'll be a tremendous opportunity around job growth. I think the same can be said for logistics in Birmingham, as well as our tech ecosystem. So there's ample opportunity for continued growth for those who are already on the ground taking risk here, but also to welcoming new businesses to our community as well.
Are we engaged in dialogue with new businesses that are in other states that want to come here?
I am. Look, I'm not afraid for somebody to tell me no, but you have to throw the pitch out and say, why Birmingham? That's part of my job, being the city's #1 cheerleader.
How does that develop? I mean, you just go out and sell
it develops two ways. We have a strategy on what we see can be best fit for our community and go after it in conjunction with partners like Prosper Birmingham and others. But I think on the other hand, some of this is community driven. or squeaky wheel, or you see something, you say, hey, that can work in Birmingham. You pick up the call or you get on the flight and make the pitch.
And our biggest competitors would be the Chattanoogas, the Nashvilles, the Charlottes.
Our biggest competitor is ourselves. What I tell everybody every day, this is a point I want to make. Birmingham should not try to be the next Nashville or Austin or Chattanooga or Atlanta. Birmingham should spend its time being the best version of itself.
Sort of like Oscar Wilde. He said, be yourself. Everyone else is taken.
Yes,
Pretty
sir.
wise, simple but wise. Randall, I appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. I know it's a hectic day for you. Get on about your mayor business, and I hope I'll see you real soon. This is huh? Go
This is
ahead.
part of the mayor business, communicating to the public what we're doing. So thanks, Tommy, for the opportunity.
Thank you. This is Our Issues Birmingham. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next week.